So here is the self-show analysis of the secret parts of the TPP.
Tonight, coming to you from the middle of the world, the one and only, from Telesur Studios in Quito, Ecuador, it's our privilege and our pleasure to introduce you to Andrew Self.
What if there were no borders? I mean, capital doesn't have borders, so why should people have borders? For example, Canada, United States, Mexico, all essentially one economy, but 3 different countries. So let's try and make a bit of art and bring a bit of justice back to this system. Welcome to the Self Show. TPP, TPI, 3CP, 3CPO. And now let's take a look at some real news. Hello from Quito. This is Andrew Self from the middle of the world. This is Andrew Self from Quito. Good morning to the newscast. In Hawaii, thousands of women are going to enjoy narcotic-induced orgasms by sniffing a hallucinogenic mushroom. The mushroom is believed to be planted by Satan himself, watered by angel semen. Now, the mushroom's secret ingredient to create these brothels from hell is lava and 14 hours of sun. The male authorities on Hawaii are very worried about the situation, but also very envious. Also in the sex world, stop watching mum, women are chasing pigs' 30-minute legendary orgasms by getting 15-minute orgasms from a thing called Fioria, which is a lube based on marijuana. Now, apart from giving extremely long orgasms, the lube promises to grow hemp where there was hair before.
I heard about Fioria from several of my friends. I mean, first of all, I didn't believe it. And second of all, I wanted to try it.
When I touched it and I felt it in my hands, I just knew that it was going to glide really nice and that I was going to be able to just rub it all over my body.
Also, in the Swedish town of Jönköping, they wanted to prove that they're not prejudiced whatsoever. There was a group of bearded men getting together, but they were tipped off by a driver saying that it was ISIS getting together. No joke. The group called the Bearded Villains, whose flag, well, it's a little bit similar to ISIS, were attacked by police. They now suffer from alopecia and stress-related disorders. Now for the arts. 104-year-old Grace Brett is trying to yarn bomb in Scotland. What does this mean? She's essentially knitting over everything in Scotland. Now she's being helped out by many groups, and so far 46 Scottish cities have suffered this arts. She was asked about why does she want to do this, and she said, all I want to be is a trending topic.
I'm one of the young stormers, and that's very nice for me, as it's a very interesting business, and I'm looking forward to it very much.
In sports, the Belgian team Anderlecht recently drew in their game. Now, during the game, they missed 3 penalties, and the tying goal was an own goal by Anderlecht's own defender. I wonder what their strategy was. Confusing the opponent? Now for School of Journalism. Now, who the hell is going to put peace and slaughter in the same damn headline? I mean, you may as well put God thanks for peace amongst all the bloody slaughter. Adverbs, well, they are welcome in headlines, but at least do it for good, baby. And that's this week's news. So newsflash to Donald Trump and Coulter and all those filthy racists out there, there is no need to build a wall between the United States and Mexico because one already exists. Admittedly doesn't have auto turrets or shark-filled moats or lasers, but it's there. There's one in Mexicali. There's a bit more here in Arizona. And then there's this one. Well, that one's a little bit little, but it's in the middle of these huge mountains, so people aren't going to be crossing it anyway, and it's pretty much impossible to build anything out there. And then there's this other one, the Sonora Desert. Yeah, that one's probably not as big as you filthy racists might want it to be, but the thing is, the desert is a natural deterrent. It's over 100 degrees out there for you Yankees, or 40 something for normal people, so you pretty much can't cross it, as someone from the Border Control pointed out to us recently. So this is where a lot of the Kurds and cartels are coming through, is these deadly areas. But the problem is that most people kind of end up dead in those regions. So it is a natural deterrent anyway. And parts where the fence is kind of shitty, it's because it can't be built properly, or there's that great American deterrent, private property. A lot of the places through Texas and all up against the Rio Grande is private property. Now try telling that to full-blood Americans that they got to take away their private property. So this is the case. Where are the illegal immigrants coming through? Are they jumping fences somewhere, going to South Padre Island, or we're not quite sure where they're getting through. So what do we do to stop this? Now, the Americans have come up with a beautiful idea. We haven't got enough border control agents. They've got 21,000 people of them already. And you see, the Daily Beast recently had an expose where in Ajo, Arizona, they built houses for each one of these people, costing about $600,000 per house. Now, the government claims not all of that is for the house, but we're not quite sure where all the money is going to. So the government's already spending bucket loads of money on border protection. Now, we could build ATT walkers, we could build more sharks, we could build lasers, we could put mines all along the border, we could spend all the money we can, but people are probably still going to come. Now, why are they going to come? Because you have to address the underlying causes of immigration. Now, for people like Trump and Coulter, they're probably a bit too stupid to do this, but for us, self-show viewers, we can look at these underlying causes. So the thing is, it's okay to block people from crossing borders, but of course, the one secret thing that needs to cross borders really easily is capital. And so recently they've signed a TPP deal, Trans-Pacific Partnership. Don't want to get too much into the details because, well, it's kind of boring. And the thing is, I can't go too much into the details because it's top secret. But we know it's bad. It's been pretty strange seeing politicians come out and say things like, this is really good for everybody, but I can't tell you what's in it. And we wonder why Edward Snowden's so popular. You see, Barack Obama walked out of the White House into his beautiful little rose garden to tell everyone that secrecy is the foundation of American freedom. Of course, because secrecy equals safety. Slogans, right? What is secret? It is safe. Secrecy, freedom. USA. You see, when governments do things in secret, it's supposedly to conceal things from their enemies. But this deal, we're not really concealing it from ISIS or Iran or Russia, whoever our enemy is at the current time. What they're really doing is concealing it from everybody else. So it can't be good, right? We did do a bit of interviewing outside the self-show and we asked some people, what do you think of the TPP? And they've all came out and said, well, it will suck. Why? Because it is secret. We asked politicians, why do you think everyone thinks it sucks? Well, I cannot confirm it will suck, they tell me, but we can't tell you what's in it. And you see, one of the key problems with this TPP, it's not really a trade deal. It's more of a tariff and regulations deal. And the thing is, where do regulations come from? Well, governments put in regulations often out of democratic demands to protect things like workers, to protect the environment, to, well, generally make things a little bit more comfortable for people on Earth. So when we start removing these, which the TPP does essentially, is, well, we're just kind of caving into corporations once again. You see, a few other things that have come out of this TPP is that, well, it could screw over everyone, including the United States. You see, it's going to give corporations the right to sue governments if they don't really like what the government's essentially doing. Now, what could happen is the United States corporation could create an offshore corporation and therefore sue back the United States if they're doing something that's not in favor of their big business interests. And also, there's the whole medicine thing. It's going to be much more difficult to create generic drugs. Now, this might not be a big deal for you and me who can afford to buy other forms of drugs, but in developing countries, this is the difference between life and death, all for a little bit of corporate cash. Now, of course, we have to maybe give some money to people who develop them, but what about trying to save some lives? So if you don't believe me that this agreement does really suck, you're kind of brain dead or you haven't been listening for the last 15 minutes. See, of course, history is often the bastard stepchild of policy decisions, and often these policy decisions are pretty bad. You see, we need to change something about human mobility across the Earth. both for economic and also for, well, just the well-being of our planet and people on it. See, a little while ago, people would say that, well, women can't be doing the work of men because that might destroy families, or they can't do it, or all other kinds of arguments like what happens if they get their period at work. But the thing is, that doesn't even stand up these days. So we need to change these forms of policies. Letting more human mobility is definitely one of them. Capital mobility, don't worry about that.